Hello and welcome to another video from Kenson. In this video I'm hoping to go one step further than my previous video and have two of the Kragon capsules simultaneously detached from the Kenson space platform, deorbit and land back at the Kerbal Space Centre. A quick recap of where we left off. There was the Kenson space platform in orbit, and just zooming back in on the Kerbal Space Centre, and in the background we can see the Keflon 9 rocket that launched Valentina here into orbit and then onto the Kenson space platform, and she has safely landed back at the Kerbal Space Centre in her Kragon capsule and looking very happy about it. So we just need to switch to the Kenson space platform and go fly. There we go. And there it is in orbit, just coming around on the dark side of Kerbin. And we find that Bill is already on board one of the Kragon capsules to come home back to Kerbin. So we've just undocked and we're just going to drift away gently until we've got a bit of space. And then we can do a few little manoeuvres just to lower ourselves away from the Kenson space platform so we don't crash into it. And then once we've stabilised him, we can switch back to the station and we can decouple the second pod with Jeb on board. And again, a few little gentle manoeuvres with the RCS thrusters once I've worked out which way it's pointing. And again, just drifting away gently from the Kenson space platform so we don't damage it, and trying to get them into as similar orbits as I can. You've probably noticed that Jeb's pod doesn't have any lights on it, whereas Bill's pod has got lights. There are a couple of minor differences between them, nothing too significant. So once I'm happy that both pods are in a stable retrograde position, I can fire up the engines, switch to the other one and fire that engine up as well, trying to keep them as synchronised as possible, and switching back between the two of them, just making sure they stay onto the retrograde marker. Obviously when you leave one pod to look at the other one, the first one that you're at stops being locked onto any particular manoeuvre node. Not that the manoeuvre node moves much during this retro burn. You can see there one is going a slightly different speed to the other, and there it goes. I was going to try and cut its engine slightly early, but the difference between the two was so close it was very difficult to try and do manually. So now we've spent all the fuel. You can see this one's got a clipped in fuel tank, whereas the other one has got a protruding fuel tank. I think this caused it to have an extra decoupler attached, but there we go, you heard the two clicks, and then we fire that one off retrograde to try and slow down a little bit more. Don't think it actually made much difference. Then we switch back to Jeb, and again we separate the spent fuel tank and engine, and that time you can see I did it in prograde because I was hoping to accelerate slightly and hopefully catch up with Bill, but again I don't think it made a lot of difference. So now we're very much in the coasting phase. It's just a case of waiting till we hit the atmosphere before anything interesting starts to happen. At this stage the video is playing back at 8 times the normal speed, so the where are we, 30 odd seconds, 35, 37 seconds that this clip takes actually took 8 times longer in the actual game. So yeah, it wasn't a particularly interesting phase of the game, but we just had to wait until we crossed the coastline there, hoping to be, I think it's about 65,000 meters was my target, which is roughly where we were, and then we start hitting the atmosphere once we get below 50,000 meters. So again we've just got to ride out the turbulence and enjoy the view on the flaming plasma coming off the heat shield. I was trying to angle it very slightly to try and shorten the approach by sort of forcing the pod down slightly, But I think what I should have been doing really with the other pod with Jeb in it was trying to extend that by just tinkering with the angle of the pod. But I think I would have been better off trying to do that to Jeb, as it looks like he's going to come up a bit short. So Bill seems to be on a pretty good trajectory and on course for land at the Kerbal Space Centre. I am going to deploy the parachutes a bit early, otherwise he could overshoot and land in the sea, which I don't really want him to do. And then we switch back to Jeb, who again is also on a good trajectory, but he's quite a lot lower, and I think he's going to come up a bit short. Perhaps land in the rough greenland in the woods somewhere, but not going to be too far from the Space Centre. And there we can see the parachutes have partially deployed, and you might have just seen the heat shield was also jettisoned, but the air pressure is holding on at the moment, just so that drops away safely at a convenient time. So we've switched back to Jeb, and we're just holding off with the parachute deployment, hoping to get as close to the Kerbal Space Centre as we can. But eventually we can see to the inevitable, and he's not going to get much closer, so we again deploy the chutes and also jettisoned the heat shield, although again it's being held on by air pressure. And back to Bill, we can see he's what was he coming up, 4,500 metres and almost directly above the Space Centre, so that's a good one. Pleased with that. But Jeb's, what's that, I can't quite read it, 8 kilometres away, is that something like that, 7.5. So not too far away. There goes his heat shield, and the parachutes fully deploy. And back to Bill, he's a bit higher up, so that hasn't happened yet. He's at what, 1,500 metres. When do the chutes deploy? There's 1,000, should be about now. Yeah, there we go. And as you slow down, the heat shield drops away as well. And you'll hear in the background, you'll hear it crash into the ground now. There we go. And again back to Jeb, and he's in the last 150 metres, gently drifting down to the surface. Yeah, out in the sort of rougher Greenland area with a few trees around. But yeah, what's that, 7.5 kilometres from that's from Valentino, I think, that one. But yeah, so 7.5 kilometres from the Space Centre. That's not too bad, quite pleased with that. And down he comes and lands nice and gently. There we go. So he's home safe and sound. So time for a quick EVA. You don't need your helmet, Jeb, we can get rid of that, and the neck ring just a bit more comfortable. There we go. And I just fall off the ladder there. There we go. So he's home safe and sound. So of course he's going to have to plant the obligatory flag. So we just come around to the sunny side, so it's not in the shade, and plant a flag. I want you to make a mental note of where he plants his flag. You'll see why in a couple of minutes when we come back to him. But yeah, I didn't bother putting any text on it, couldn't bother at that stage. And just going to bring him round for a photo. A nice photo opportunity for the album. There we go, and he's drifting very slightly across the ground. Never mind, not to worry. So we can now switch back to Bill, and he's in his last 150 metres. Again, the heat shield's already gone, we saw that go earlier, so just rotating it round so that my flag is on the sunny side. There we go. And touchdown. So both of my pilots have now returned to Kerbin safely. So once again, time for an EVA. Don't need the helmet again, obviously. Managed to climb down the ladder this time without falling off of it. There we go. And again, bring him round to the sunny side so we can plant the flag for the photo. Again, not bothering to put any text on it, and just going to line them up for the photo opportunity and try and align him nicely. How should we do it? About there. just face. Oh yeah, we'll have a jumping photo this time. See if we can get that. So there we go. So then we switch back to Jeb. And where's the flag gone? You remember I asked you to remember where it was? Well, it should be. It was sliding across the ground slowly, but just checking, and there's no option to plant the flag in the list of options there, which indicates that he's already planted his flag. Having a look around, I can't see it anywhere. Well, that's rather strange. No, definitely hasn't got a flag option on Jeb. So we use the square button, the square bracket button, and we can switch to, so at the top it said we're now looking at the flag, we're focused on the flag. Zoom out, zoom back in again on the flag. No, definitely not there. Zoom out, zoom in, it says focus on the flag up the top there, and nope, no flag. I'm just clicking around to see if I can find it and bring up its menu, but it doesn't seem to even acknowledge that there is a flag there, whether it's invisible or anything. Nope, can't find the flag. What's going on there? So we use the square bracket again, change to the pod, change to Jeb. Still no flag option in his menu. He's looking a bit worried now. No, just checking them thoroughly, make sure I didn't misread them. Definitely no flag in the list. There we go, switch to the flag, and it's not there. If you look at the altitude meter, it says the pod's 1 metre above the ground level, and Jeb is 255 metres above sea level, but in the atmosphere. But when we switch to the flag, it was still 255 metres above sea level, but the pressure indicator says it's right up in, or almost out of the atmosphere, which is bizarre. So when we try to switch to Bill while being looking at the flag, it says that we cannot switch vessels while about to crash. So for some reason there's a bit of a glitch there. I think the Kraken's playing games. The flag appears to be at 255 metres above sea level, which is correct, because it's on the planes with Jeb, but the pressure gauge says it's way out of the atmosphere. Never mind. Anyway, so both pilots safely returned to Kerbin and photos taken, and I think we'll end it there. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click on like and don't forget to subscribe, and check back soon for new videos. But while you're waiting, why don't you check out some of my other videos? Thank you for watching.